dating, and I just remember feeling kind of intimidated and a little nervous about that. And I also was in a relationship, so we went our separate ways, and I didn't hear from him for a long time.
And that's so. Approximately how long were you filming in Puerto Rico for the Rum Diary?
A few months is my best
All
guess.
right. And when you left Puerto Rico in the filming, when is the next time that you had any contact from Mr. Depp? And contact could include anything, communications, written communications, as well as telephone or otherwise.
We had no contact until Johnny called me on the phone one day, and I was driving, and he invited me over to his home in California, in Beverly Hills, and it was out of the blue. I didn't even have his phone number, so it was quite unexpected. He called me a second time, but I don't think we actually connected, or we didn't stay on the phone because we didn't really speak. But the first time was the only time I actually spoke to him, and he invited me over to his house under kind of he said that, we could get Bruce, who was the director, to come over, something about the movie, but it was clearly not about the movie, if you know what I mean. It was, so I said, I said, my friends are in town, and I'm busy with that, and kind of hung up, feeling really startled, that didn't know what else to do.
What, if any, gifts did Mr. Depp send you during that time period after you filmed the Rum Diary?
He sent me several gifts. He sent me a beautiful dress, one that I wore in the movie, with a beautiful handwritten note, said happy wrapping, and made a reference to the dress being wrapping paper. He sent me a few gorgeous, expensive, what I can only assume are expensive, collectible books, items. And then when I was away filming on a different job, he he did send me some guitars. I know one delivery, I was informed about one delivery, and my partner at the time intercepted the attempt to deliver and called me immediately and said, what should I do? And I said, send it back. And she did. And she indicated that there was another one that had already previously attempted delivery, and it was also rejected. I sent it back because I wasn't there, and I wouldn't have accepted it anyway.
Okay. Did there come a time that you ended up having to go on a press tour for the Rum Diary?
I got a call for the Rum Diary press tour in the fall of 2011.
So that's close to two and a half years after you filmed?
I'm an actress, not a mathematician for a reason. Roughly, yes.
Okay. And could you please describe for the jury what a press tour is? Just explain it to them.
Well, you take a movie once it's completed, and if it doesn't have distribution, as part of the promotion of that movie, you go to these various places, normally cities like London or New York, and you do press events in those cities to kind of promote the film, and you go to place talking about the film.
And so you were then called to participate in the press tour for the Rum Diary?
Yes, I had just finished going through the process of separation with my former partner, and I was moving and going through that, and I got a phone call saying, remember that movie you did in Puerto Rico? Well, they want you for the press tour. And I said, well, perfect timing. And we did that, I think late October 2011.
Okay. So describe for the jury your interactions with Mr. Depp during the press tour.
Well, on the the beginning of the tour was Los Angeles, where we both lived, and we did a press day, normal press day, and then at the end of it, I was invited by Johnny to come up to his room to have a drink with him and the director of the film. And I went up to the room to see both him and Bruce, but as soon as I got there, Johnny said Bruce wasn't going to make it. So I stayed. Johnny and I started talking. He asked me about my relationship. I said, well, you know, I'm going through it. I'm going through the separation right now, and it's been, you know, rough couple of months, but that's normal. And he said, well, that's same with me. You know, it's been, I can't remember exactly how long he said it had been, but that he had split from the mother of his kids, and said that he understood.
All right, and then what happened next?
Then we drank red wine and continued to talk, and the talking became us, you know, reconnect. You know, it was like reconnection was almost instant. It was just chemistry. It's hard to explain that, but we sat on the couch and we talked, and you know, it felt like there was it felt like there was an electricity to the room. And it's how I felt when I was alone with him anyway. And it was instant again. I was like, whoa. So on the couch, we talked, finished some wine, and then I got up and left. And as I went to leave, he grabbed both sides of my face, similar to what he did in Puerto Rico when we were filming that scene. And he kissed me, and I kissed him back.
And what happened next with respect to any relationship with Mr. Depp?
Well, then we fell in love. We went on this press tour, and we went. It was a beautiful and strange time. You know, we're flying from one, not together, but you know, going from one city to the next, Europe, New York, Los Angeles, as I said, and we're just traveling around talking about this movie that we did together, that we participated in together. And we were falling in love. I mean, it was just, you know, at the first dinner in London, he sat me next to me. You know, he produced the film and was a part of controlling the film and was responsible for different things than I was as an actor having a small part in it. And we went on this press tour, and I think in London he had me sat next to him at a dinner, and then we ended up spending the night together in my hotel room. And for the rest of the press tour, it was on. I'll put it that way.
All right. And how long approximately did the press tour go?
I don't know exactly how long it lasted. I think, you know, there were press engagements in this city for a few days, and then another city for a few days, and then there was a break, and then there was another press opportunity, I believe. So it was kind of spread out over maybe a month, if I'm guessing.
So when you returned to Los Angeles, what, if anything, took place with any relationship with Mr. Depp?
Well, once we were back from the press tour, you know, we had this, you know, whirlwind romance kind of just in these like beautiful places all over, and we're falling in love and not able to really show it because the world didn't know about the split between he and his former partner. And of course, as a woman, I was like, is that troubling? You know, and I'd ask him, no, you know, he swore to me that they hadn't even shared a bed for a year, and that they were protecting the kids and not publicizing it. So, or not making it known to the press. And so we kind of had to be a little bit under the radar, not a little bit, we had to be really under the radar, because as Johnny pointed out, that the world would blame me and call me a homewrecker, even though I had nothing to do with it. So we were secretly dating, and then, you know, it was beautiful. felt like this man knew me and saw me in a way that no one else had. I felt he understood me. I felt he understood where I came from. I felt that, like, when I was around Johnny, I felt like the most beautiful person in the whole world. You know, it made me feel seen, it made me feel like $1 million. And that kind of feeling where, you know, he's just lavish gifts and lavish expressions of love, and how he had never met a woman like me. I mean, I remember he took the foil off of this bottle and put it on my ring finger, and I had only been with him like days, you know, or maybe it was weeks at the time. Yeah, it was probably about a few weeks, but it just felt very intense. But we weren't doing normal life stuff. We weren't like stuck in traffic with each other. We weren't going to the grocery store and doing life. We were like hiding in these places around the world. He has so many homes. And so we'd be in one of those homes, or my home at the time, and it would be like a bubble, like we were in this little bubble of secrecy, and it felt like a warm glow, as we would say. Just music and the kind of books that we both loved, and poetry that we both knew by heart, and it felt like a dream. It felt like absolute magic.
So while you're dating, I take it you're dating at this point, right?
Yeah, sorry,
while you're falling in love, you're also dating, right? Okay.
Yes.
Did there come a time early on that you ended up going to his Bahamas island?
Yes. So shortly after, you know, I think started dating October of 2011, and you know, as I mentioned, this bubble, you know, where he'd come over to my house and not leave for like 3 or 4 days, you know, just smoking cigarettes and playing music and reading poetry to me or painting me, or, you know, just talking. And then he would disappear. And there'd be just no way to get a hold of him, no way to contact him. At first, I didn't really think anything about it, but he disappeared at one point, and then came back and said he was dealing with some health issue, and would I join him in the Bahamas? And I think that's when I learned he had an island, and I was on a trip with a friend of mine in Spain, and it was for the holidays, and I kind of rerouted my trip so I could come and land in LA landing in Miami instead of LA, so I could go and meet him on the island. And he had Keenan come and meet me on that trip, like in Miami. I get off one plane, get onto another, and go and join him on his private island. And I noticed he was drinking Beck's and tea, like lots of tea. And I didn't foolishly think anything of it. I just, you know, thought the man really, seriously, I missed it before, but really, really loves tea. And we had this beautiful, I don't know, less than a week probably, trip in the Bahamas, a private island, beautiful sandy beaches. It's a scene that you just don't, I had never experienced anything like that. It was a beautiful place, a beautiful time, and I fell head over heels in love with this man.
So after the Bahamas, I assume you came back, and are we talking now early 2012?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So what were you doing work-wise while you were dating him in this early stage?
What I always do, I would be taking job to job to job, going from one movie to the next, mostly not filming in LA. So weirdly, you live in LA to go shoot on location in other places. So when I was in town, we would go back to this bubble, like insular bubble with beautiful, blaringly loud music and no one else and nothing else. And then, you know, I'd go off to work. And so would he. Well, eventually, yeah, he left to shoot Lone Ranger, I believe.
Okay. Now, we've heard a little bit about Lone Ranger, and that's about mid-2012, is that right, when he was shooting that?
That sounds right, mid-2012, yeah.
And were you shooting anything at that time?
I was shooting...
Machete Kills?
I believe I was shooting Machete Kills in Austin. I had a small part in a Robert Rodriguez film that shot in Austin. But, you know, I think Johnny was shooting and then having some time off, and there was just a lot of travel, a lot of movement, so.
And so what, if any, visiting did you do with Johnny while he was on his set for Lone Ranger, and where was he?
Well, he was filming all over the Southwest, and at some point I came to visit him and on one of his locations, and I would stay in the house because I couldn't really, you know, occasionally I would leave with his security guards, but